Panera unveiling a new ad campaign today entitled Food as It Should Be. The focus is on health, transparency, all natural ingredients. Panera showing off this new concept at a pop-up store in SOHO today, where the head chef showed us around a little bit earlier this morning. He made some of these new custom meals with new, simpler ingredients. Here he is actually making me a very early breakfast morning kale Caesar salad. He said, of course it has to have kale if it's going to be hip. And he told me about one specific example of one of the changes coming to the menu. Have a listen.
Here's a great picture of the tomato mozzarella flatbread. You know, a year ago it was a big heavy panini. And we said, well, you know, it's meatless, it's sort of right for the time, but how do we lighten it up and make it a little more contemporary? So flatbreads came on this time last year as a way to make sandwiches a little bit lighter and healthier. And that's just a way of taking something old and making it new again.
So lots of menu changes going on. How difficult is it to make them for a company with 2,000 locations across the country? We are joined now for an exclusive interview by Panera CEO Ron Shaich from the Panera Pop-Up Pantry, where I was this morning in New York City. Ron, it's good to see you again.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm good. I want to know how difficult it is, though. You have a pretty ambitious plan here to change 150 artificial ingredients, taking them off the menus, these new campaigns, this new transparency, a lot of changes for a 30-year-old company. How difficult is that to pull off, Ron?
Well, you know, Sarah, you know Panera well. We've been on this journey for 2 decades. 11 years ago, we were the first national restaurant operation to serve chicken raised without antibiotics. Today, you have people like McDonald's following us. It was 6 or 7 years ago, we were the first people to pull non-naturally presenting itself trans fats from the menu. Today you have the U.S. government literally today, within an hour, announcing all restaurant chains and all the food must do it. We did the same thing with caloric information 5 years ago.
No, I was going to ask you actually about the new FDA rules today, moving to ban trans fats. You did it 9 years ago. So what's the next thing that you're doing that the FDA is going to ban?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we announced a year ago our commitment and our food policy. We activated it 30 days ago when we announced our clean food policy, which essentially represented 150 ingredients that you would not find in a Panera. To us, it meant essentially creating a simple, transparent line in the sand so people knew when they walked into a Panera, they were going to get food that was clean and food that was minimally processed. What's interesting to me is the way change occurs through the marketplace. We've had any number of restaurant concepts that followed us to doing this. We announced it. Within a week, you had Noodles & Company, you had Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, Papa John's, now Subway, all announcing some versions of what we're trying to do. The reality is that consumers want food that they can trust. They want food that's both good for them and is simply good. And Panera is moving to continue its 2-decade policy of doing that. I think you're going to continue to see others following.
They're also increasingly concerned about the effect of GMOs, even though our legislators say that they're safe, the regulators say that they're safe. Chipotle, your competitor in fast casual, moved to take GMOs off the menu. Are you going there next?
Yeah, well, you know, we have 450 ingredients in a Panera. Our challenge is how we even know what is GMO and what is not. So our position is we favor GMO labeling so retailers like us can offer transparency to our guests and allow them to make the choice. We actually cannot ourselves provide that information today.
What about, speaking of labeling, what about the New York Department of Health proposal to start labeling high sodium? I know some of the products that you have on the menu are quite delicious, but they're also very high in salt. Are you opposed to such
no,
regulation?
We actually, I am in favor of those regulations, and I think we may be the only restaurant company that is. We believe in transparency. You know, I remember when there was a huge debate in our industry about posting calories. This was maybe 5-6 years ago. We were the first people that came out and posted it, and I thought to myself, why not post it? We're in the business of letting people make good choices about their food. Let's give it to them. And in fact, if you're embarrassed about what you're serving, maybe you should change your food and not try to hide it. The reality is there are a number of items, not a lot, but there are a number of items on the Panera menu that have high salt levels or have that are indulgences. And you know what? I mean, that's okay. As long as you're clear, you're making that choice, you're aware of it, and you have the ability to make it on your own.
Are you going to have to raise prices for consumers with all of these changes you're making with new ingredients, and not to mention this big ad campaign you're now launching? Tell me how you're thinking about prices.
No, I don't think we intend to raise prices beyond inflation as we normally have. I think the reality is this is part of where we've been for several decades, which is trying to make a difference in the lives of our guests. It's not complicated. That's why Panera's been so successful. Our stock's been up 4,000% in the last 15 years. The S&P 500's been up 40%. There's a reason. We're making a difference in people's lives.
It's had a nice run over the last few months, Ron. What about this idea that you are refranchising to keep the profitability high? Question from one of the Twitter users, which I think is a good one, is it harder to make changes like the menus, like the 2.0 technological changes, when you are passing more of your stores on to franchisees?
Well, just to be clear, we believe in a mixed system, have, again, since our founding. We've generally operated with somewhere between 35 and 50% of our stores company-owned. We continue to believe in that. Our level of company-owned stores pushed above that 50% level. We decided to modestly bring it down. We announced we would refranchise between 75 and 150 stores, and we're in process of doing that. And again, very easy for us. It's within our community or within people we know. Very easy for us to do. And it's really just adjusting within our policy. For us, a healthy mix of company and franchise, Sarah, is a little like asset allocation. You know, we want to have franchise stores and for people to share the risk and have local skill and local operating skills. On the other hand, we want company stores to benefit from the kinds of improvements that we're making.
All right. Well, I have to say, I enjoyed the 7 a.m. Kale Caesar, including the new Parmesan crisps instead
Sarah,
of
we know
croutons.
you. We
you know
we
I'm
know
a
you
fan
love
from high
Panera.
school.
Thank you for being
Full
such
disclosure.
a support. Yes.
Ron Shaich, thanks for
Absolutely.
joining us on
Take
the
care.
stock and some of the moves that you're making. Ron Shaich is the CEO and founder of Panera. Carl?
Thank you very much, Sarah.